vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari. Yasodhanandana Raja Janarandanam. Yamuna Tira Vanachariya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kundra Bihari, Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatujaya Udirayet. Reading from Canto 7, Chapter 9, which is Prahlad pacifies the Lord with prayers. Text 49. Naite Guna Na Gunino Mahad Adayo Ye Naite Gunana Gunino Mahadadayo Ye Sarve Manaha Fabritayaha Sahadeva Matyaha Sarve Mana Pabritaya Sahadeva Martya Adyanta Vanta Urugaya Vidanti Hi Kwam Adyanta Vanta Uragaya Vidanti Hi Twam Evam Vimrisha Suryo Viramanti Shabdat Evam Vimrisha Suryo Viramanti Shabdat Nete Gunana Gunino Mahadadayo Ye Sarve Mana Pabritaya Sahadeva Matya Adyantavanta Urugaya Vidanti Hi Twam Evam Vim Rishya Studio Viramanti Shabdat Nete Gunana Gunino Mahadadayo Ye Sarve Mana Prabhritaya Sahadeva Matya Adyantavanta Urugaya Vidanti Ki Hi Twam Evam Vimrishya Suryo Viramanti Shabdat Someone? Gunana Gunino Mahadadayo Ye Mana Prabhritaya Matya Gunino Mahadadayo gunana gunino mahadanda yoye. Adyantayanta urudaya vidantihi tvam. Na neither ete all these gunaha, three qualities of material nature. Na nor guninaha, the predominating deities of the three modes of material nature, namely Lord Brahma, the predominating deity of passion, and Lord Shiva, the predominating deity of ignorance. Mahat Adayaha, the five elements, the senses and the sense objects. Yea, those which sarve, all, manaha, the mind, prabritayaha, and so on. Sahadeva matyaha, with the demigods and the mortal human beings. Adiyantavantaha, who all have a beginning and end. Urugaya, O Supreme Lord, who are glorified by all saintly persons. Vedanti, understand. He, indeed. Tvam, your lordship. Evam, thus. Vimrisha, considering. Sudriyaha, all wise men. Viramanti, cease. Shabdat, from studying or understanding the Vedas. Never test of this. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki. Neither the three modes of material nature, Sattvaguna, Rajaguna, and Tamaguna, nor the predominating deities controlling these three modes, nor the five gross elements, nor the mind, nor the demigods, nor the human beings can understand your lordship. For they are all subjected to birth and annihilation. Considering this, the spiritually advanced have taken to devotional service. Such wise men hardly bother with Vedic study. Instead, they engage themselves in practical devotional service. Purport. As stated in several places, Bhaktya mam abhijanati, only by devotional service can the Supreme Lord be understood. The intelligent person, the devotee, does not bother much about the practices mentioned in text 46. Mauna vrata sutta tapo dhyayana swadharma. Thought everybody left. After understanding the Supreme Lord through devotional service, such devotees are no longer interested in studies of the Vedas. Indeed, this is confirmed in the Vedas also. The Vedas say, Kimartha Vayam Adeshamahe Kim Artha Vayam Vakshamahe. What is the use of studying so many Vedic literatures? What is the use of explaining them in different ways? Vayam Vakshamahe. No one needs to study any more Vedic literatures, nor does anyone need to describe them by philosophical speculation. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 52, also says, Yadate moha kalilam buddhir vyatita rishyati tada ganta si nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. When one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead by executing devotional service, one ceases the practice of studying the Vedic literature. Elsewhere it is said, Aradito yadi haris tapasa tattakim. If one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage in his service, there is no more need of severe austerities, penances, and so on. However, if after performing severe austerities and penances, one does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such practices are useless. Okay, just read translation again. Neither the three modes of material nature, Sattva-guna, Rajaguna, and Tamaguna, nor the predominating deities controlling these three modes, nor the five gross elements, nor the mind, nor the demigods, nor the human beings can understand your lordship, for they are all subjected to birth and annihilation. Considering this, the spiritually advanced have taken to devotional service. Such wise men hardly bother with Vedic study. Instead, they engage themselves in practical devotional service. Omeganti mirandasya ginanjana shalakaya chakshu militam yena tasmai shri guruve namaha. Shri Chaitanya manabhishtam stapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadamayam dadati swapadam tikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namusute Tapta Kanchana Gurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sudedevi Padamami Hari Priye Jaitam Suratu Pango Mama Mande Mate Gati Matsavasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Panchakalpatarivescha Kripa Sindhubhya Ivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Mukam Karati Vachalam Pangum Lagate Girim Yakripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale Shmakte Bhakti Vedanta Swami Miti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivesesha Shunyavadi Pachacha Desatarne Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Maru Maru Vachi Maru Smanti Sarvaha Sarve Sarvakara Shubhadvam. Right. Right, this text is about Prahlad Maharaj praying to, offering prayers to Nrsingadev, obviously, but it actually highlights the difference between two main characters. Prahlad Maharaj himself, which is the embodiment of devotion, and Hiranyakashipu, who is an embodiment of non-devotion. I was thinking quite long and hard about this, strangely enough, and what came to mind was the first verse of the Shikshashtaka, Mahadevagni, blazing forest fire. Why? Because we are going through a time in our world history of climate crisis, and a lot of forest fires have been taking place. I liken our bodies, ourselves in this material world, to those trees, because those trees can't actually run away from the fire. They're stuck there. Once the fire starts to burn, you're completely, burnt. And our blazing forest fire that we can't run away from are the kleshas, the three miseries of life. There are three kleshas. Some people have four, but there are three really. So that's Adidevika, Adibhautika, and Adhyatmika. I think you know what they mean. Adidevika is to do with the miseries caused by natural disasters, so like volcanoes or floods, etc. Adibhautika is by other living entities, whether big or small. So it can be someone invading your country, or can be a little mosquito biting you in the heat of the summer weather. Shishi Kodanitai, Mai Posashi, Ki. So we are these trees stuck there with these glaciers burning us. And what is actually fanning this fire? What fanning this fire is that terrible thing that we carry with us, is our material desires. Yeah. And we know how much damage a forest fire can do. So now, what is there a solution to this? Yes, you can try and put out the fire by prayers, by worship, etc. But they're not constant enough to actually save you from that fire. What really is a solution, and in this verse it spells it out quite definitively, and that is devotional service, bhakti. Because everything, both material and spiritual, can be a distraction. Instead, bhakti is actually a constant activity and constant reminder about your position with regards to Krishna. We can see from this from Prahlad's story, and in relationship with his father, that he, as I said before, is the embodiment of bhakti, and yet Hiranyakashipu was the opposite, and what he did was he did everything that he could to get all that power he had. I think it was austerity, and he was a past master at yoga, and he had great knowledge. Have no doubt about that. He wasn't just some mad, crazy demon that was craving for power only. He was well versed and well educated in the Vedas, and yet he also had great determination. If you think of the supernatural power that he achieved by his austerity, I believe we talked about this before. I think he stood on his tiptoes and meditated for a few years or a few thousand years or something, and then which forced Brahma to actually give him all those things that he wanted to make him immortal. How powerful was Hiranyakashipu? Well, he was so powerful that he was able to conquer every demigod in sight. In fact, they were all wary of him, including all the saints and great spiritual masters. They paid homage to him. He was so powerful. He had control of everything. So he had control of the weather, you want the media, traffic, economy of the three worlds. he was practically God in the material world. Now the going back to this thing about the forest fire, I just remember that Narottama Das Thakur said, "My heart is always burning in the wildfire of material existence, and I have no way of getting out of it. As I said before, a small flame can be easily handled, but the three material miseries are together a forest fire which continues to be blown and fed by your material desires. You know, a small flame can be extinguished by gush of wind. So, for example, if you take a little candle like that, which we use here, you put it stick on a birthday cake, you can easily blow it out. It just goes out without any problem. But a forest fire, to put it out, and I don't know if you've seen them. I've seen them in southern Italy, for example. It takes a plane flying continuously to pick up water from the sea and then pour it down on the forest fire. And at the same time, the forest fire is just spreading, many times endangering human lives in villages and towns. Now, so to extinguish the forest fire of the three miseries, we actually need something which is which I call SIP, continuous, intense, and prolonged. Okay, and this continuous, intense, prolonged can be our devotional service, which one can view it as rainfall. Only then can you put out. Oh, I stopped smoking. Sorry, and rainfall, and this can actually put out the fire of miseries. Now, Srila Prabhupada said the pure devotee has no other plans other than those for the Lord's service. He said that's all. That is what we really should aim for. We should follow the 4 rules of bhakti, which we all know, and those who've been in this movement. You don't eat meat, fish, or eggs. You don't gamble. You don't use intoxicants, and you don't practice illicit sex. Why don't we do that? Because there are all forms of attachments to the material world. Eating meat, fish, and eggs. It's first of all, it's the attachment to cruelty, and it removes and destroys your compassion and aggression. No gambling, no taking risks, because it will take away your common sense. The use of intoxicants will make you forget the most important thing that you have, and that is love of God. And illicit sex, that takes away the purity of your love for God. Now, these 4 rules are not the only solution, because at every moment in this material world, we are always our existence itself is always impure. It's always impure, and our senses are subject to that impurity, because we are in some way or other we are engaged in some sort of sense gratification, and that, as I said, this can only be purified through the practice of bhakti yoga. Why do we speak about purification? Because only in that purified state can you come into contact with your one and only true love, your ekapriya, which is Krishna. We need several things though to practice bhakti. It's not easy. You can't get it online or you can't Google it. Okay, you need to, first of all, you need to find yourself a bona fide, authentic spiritual expert, a spiritual master to guide you. Then, of course, as I said before, you have to follow the regulative principles, the 4 rules of bhakti. Then other things that help you, for example, waking up early, rising early, having a shower or a bath, and then, if possible, go to a temple. You can have a temple at home, with your little altar, and offer prayers and chant, the Hare Krishna mantra, which is very purifying. You can do other things like collect flowers to offer, cook foodstuffs to offer. Then you can honor prasadam. And to add to all this, instead of turning on the television to watch the 5 or 6 o'clock news, you can read constantly the Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam. And what all these little practices do is that they bring you to the love of God. Prahlad Maharaj wasn't some sort of militant activist, with his father. He saw all the things his father was. This man who had everything, and yet he had nothing. Yeah, he had power, he had wealth, he had respect, he had the whole universe in the palm of his hand. But he, so he had jnana, he had yoga and whatever, and he could do whatever he wanted to do. And yet he had nothing because he didn't have bhakti. So Prahlad didn't set out in his life to chastise his father and say, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that. He didn't. He respectfully waited every moment of the day to let his father start the conversation. He didn't go to his father, oh, excuse me, H, because was too long. Look, you shouldn't do this, or you can't do this. He always waited for his father to ask him a question, and then he would answer truthfully and according to Shastra. Because without bhakti, all else means nothing. But with bhakti, everything is important. Why is that? Because bhakti actually pleases Krishna. Devotion always pleases Krishna. We can see other examples of this bhakti in the Srimad Bhagavatam. You all remember Ambarish Maharaj, yeah? He dedicated everything to Krishna in such a way. He didn't even bother to protect himself when Dhruva Muni decided, went ape and decided he would try and punish Ambarish. And yet, in the end, Dhruva Muni was the one who had to run away from Krishna across the universe. And Krishna, in the form of Narayana, had to explain to Dhruva Muni that there's nothing more powerful than bhakti. Why? Because bhakti is the only thing that can attract the all-attractive, who is Krishna. Krishna can give you anything you want, yeah. So all kinds of kanda. If you actually carry out yagyas and you practice piety, you can receive mystic powers, wealth, even liberation. But all those are just material gifts, and they will just make you more attached to the material world and prolong your little Mahadavagni, your little forest fire. With bhakti and through bhakti, Krishna actually gives himself personally to you. Because you offer your heart to Krishna, Krishna then reciprocates with his heart. It's often said love is actually really so simple. I think even Prabhupada talks about simple living and high thinking, and yet love is simply not understood in its true sense. We can go to Mahabharata and look at Duryodhana. He how do you say, he welcomed Krishna with so many precious gifts and with royal opulence, gave him a reception that was befitted, the greatest king ever. And yet Krishna preferred Vidura's banana skin. He didn't really, fall for all that stuff, because Krishna is not into things. He's into feeling. Yeah. So, if you talk to most people, you ask them, what would you prefer? Gold, diamonds, king's feast, silks, palaces, maybe even a Rolex watch today, chariot, powered by Ferrari engine, and people usually go for those things. But Krishna isn't like that. He has everything, and what he really wants to see is your intention and your feeling. And that was a good example of in the Mahabharata, which I can remember. There are probably other stories. So Krishna, in effect, or God, accepts and enjoys devotion, and this is the easiest thing to give. And if we move to the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can remember that Lord Chaitanya actually praised Haridas Thakur after finding out about the prayers that Haridas Thakur offered. I think Haridas Thakur prayed to be to take birth in future lives with the given blessing that he would receive the remnants of the foods of Vaishnavas. I mean, this act of devotion actually moved Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which will remind you of that verse, I think the Madhya Lila, to be the servant of the servant of the servant. You are nothing but the servant of the servant of the servant. Such devotion, you may ask yourself, how can I obtain such devotion for God and love for God? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually said the only way to achieve such devotion is to have the intense desire to gain it. If you really desire it, you would actually be given it. There's no way you can get devotion by austerity, knowledge, charity, or expertise. Look at Hiranyakashipu. He practiced austerity to get his power. He was knowledgeable. Charity, we don't know about that. But he was an expert in war, etc., etc. What Chaitanya Prabhu was speaking about bhakti, he was talking in a way that is paradoxical. He was talking about kama, krodha, lobha. Yeah, what you call it, lust, anger, and desire, but not in the way that we know it, in the material sense. He's talking about transcendental greed, lust, and anger. All these directed to, in your efforts to receive God's love. There was another story, and if I remember rightly, in Chaitanya Charitamrita about brahmachari who wanted to see Lord Chaitanya dance just for a minute or two, or a second or two, and so he sweet talked Srivasa, and said, "Please, let me see Lord Chaitanya dance just one time." And Srivasa was convinced about this brahmachari's sincerity, and also of his austerity. He did a lot of austerity. And he managed to see Lord Chaitanya dance. But Lord Chaitanya, after 1 minute, suddenly stopped. And he said, "Is there someone here that is not supposed to be here?" Yeah. And Srivasa said, "Yes, there's this very good brahmachari, very chaste, very, 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 very good devotee. He's here. I let him in, and he just wanted to see you dance for a second or two." Lord Chaitanya didn't actually wasn't actually very pleased about it, or rather, he didn't show he was pleased. And he immediately said, get him out of here immediately before I let loose all my anger. Now, most people in that situation, if someone like that you adore tells you to, get lost, and don't come back, would actually be disappointed and downhearted and probably lose faith. Instead, this brahmachari took this chastisement as mercy. And what happened to him? He actually gained two things: humbleness and gratefulness for the dance. Humbleness in his heart, because he knew he wasn't supposed to be there, and he was humbled by the fact that this was what he was being taught about devotion. We see in going back to Shikshashtaka that the fourth verse actually says that life after life for me to be a devotee. But to be a devotee, life after life, you actually have to go and refer to verse number 3, Trinadapi Sunichena. It's humbleness. And so I will stop there, I think. What am I going to say? No, that's it. Humbleness and gratefulness, and that's what I think devotion boils down to. And if you really want to understand whether you're humble or gratefulness, I would suggest that you always think of this. I really hate this group, the Bee Gees. The title of the song, "How Deep Is Your Love?" Yeah. How deep is your love? You should ask yourself. Don't worry about the rest of the song. I don't even listen to it. But that verse, that title, that song, actually, I remember with regards to Krishna consciousness. So, are there any more questions or observations? Yeah. Well, since God is infinite, our love is infinite. If we really want to go down to it, there's no end to our love. So it's a question of telling yourself to always dig deeper, and you'll find it. Going back to another psychologist, God sister of mine this time, said that we can have it's easy to have compassion with other people, but it's so difficult to be compassionate towards ourselves. We should be compassionate because we will find that we can actually go as deep as the rabbit hole runs. Yeah, it doesn't end. Oh, rabbit. Sorry, I didn't mean as a pun, but there you go. Yeah. 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 No, I mean, well, we start off in this movement with the 4 austerities anyway, the 4 regulative principles. Yeah, I think that there has to be a kind of logic to austerity. Austerity is something that you do with love, and not as a masochistic activity. I mean, if you can go to Himalayas or go and climb Mount Kaisha, what's it, Kailash, and do and meditate there for I don't know how many years. And I think there's some of these Buddhist monks who have been their bodies have been conserved. I mean, they're worshipped and all that. Yeah, they've been like that for like a few hundred years. The skin is still nearly perfect. If you can do that, well and good. But if that's how you want to connect God, but I don't really see the point, because we in our tradition, it's this thing about dasa anudasa is to serve each other continuously, and this is what pleases Krishna. And we cannot serve him directly, so we serve him through his devotees, I believe. So I hope that answered your question. Yeah, I think time, place, and circumstance is a very important thing. And actually, I think in any organization, I think every clear lines have to be drawn. Who is who and what is what. And we're all here to learn, and depends on the service as well. How you do it. Obviously, I wouldn't tell somebody how to make a garland, for example, or I know I'm also quite maybe it's pride sometimes, you think that you know better, but then it's also one should look at oneself as an open book for learning. You need to think of yourself as a not an open book, a sponge to learn. There's so much to learn, and that's it's infinite. Yeah. 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 But, I think the thing it boils down to actually seeing and understanding that that line, Suridam Sarvabhutanam. God is your ever well wisher, and so all his servants are also your well wisher, and everything that. And also like that last story about the brahmachari, he didn't see the chastisement as some angry person or lord, but actually something to learn from. We have, as I said, we have so much to learn about lives, to learn about ourselves, because we're all material junkies. We've been here so bloody long, we're completely addicted to this material world, and we bring everything down to a material level, including myself, and I think there's so much to learn from each other, and this is where devotion comes in, because devotion is love, and as I said before, Krishna expects our devotion, but he is so devoted to us. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spoken the Gita, or even given us all these. He would have sent Srila Prabhupada. He said, well, tough luck. You want to stay there? Stay there. I don't give a damn. He didn't. He just keeps plugging at us, because that is what love is about. There is no limit. Love, in its pure sense, has no conditions. It's unconditional. And I think Prabhupada used the word unalloyed. Any more questions? Oh, apart from Ishan, any questions? So yeah. I think that is where we've been given the best prescription: chant and be happy. Is to what is the three things in it? Is to you have to purify yourself by chanting, purify yourself by reading Shastra, which I think most of us do and listen to pure devotees speaking about Shastra. and association. Do things that you can please God and have that you can see with your material eyes in relation to Krishna. Is that okay? Huh? Prabhu Ananda? Huh? Hmm. Well, Vedic is quite all-encompassing, isn't it? I mean, the Vedas itself, and then the Vedic culture is really probably the original culture that existed in this world. We're in Kali Yuga. We don't have time to waste with that. I mean, that's why Prabhupada translated all the appropriate books for us to read and study, so that we can get out this prison. We don't need to go back to a culture which is to know about how Vedic culture existed and how people live. We just need the tools to get out of this material world. So, and the best way to do this is, as they say, devotional service. Because if you're devoted, then you devote also time to the appropriate devotional books. You don't just read anything and everything to find out about things that are going to be useless to you. So if you're here, we got all the books of Prabhupada. We do things like that. Prabhupada is a godsend. I mean, he didn't come around just to say, well, okay, I'm going to write a few books. You just read them, and make me famous. He wasn't interested in that. He's God's instrument to free us. He's that the probation officer who's going to give you good news. Get out of this prison. Okay. Go. I just remember a phrase. Wisdom is not something about knowledge. It's about love. And if you you can gain wisdom from knowledge. You can learn many things, but if there is love is when you put God in that wisdom in every letter. Like Prabhupada said to Tamal Krishna Maharaj, every letter in this book is Krishna. After reading the whole book, going through the whole book that he just printed, yes, you need knowledge, but the knowledge has to be appropriate for time, place, and circumstance, and knowledge has to be something which is useful to another person when you express it through kaya manavakya. You don't. And this is where again, this knowledge Prabhupada has given us is just perfectly appropriate. There's nothing more or nothing less that we should actually pursue. In that sense. Okay. Thank you. No more questions? Okay. Jai Mahaprasadam. Okay. Accept my humble obeisance.